What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really helps out our channel. It really does. And just a huge thank you for being here today. Let's crack straight on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for telling my ex-husband my child support obligations are over? My 39 female ex-husband and I have been divorced for the last 13 years. I gave up custody of my daughter during the divorce and have been sending over child support checks until May of 2020, when my daughter turned 18. My daughter is a quadriplegic and has been since she was 5. Her dad lost his job around 14 years ago, so for the first 2 years after our divorce, the child support me and my then new husband sent over was what helped them survive. My checks have never been late, but I now have 2 kids with my current husband, aged 12 and 8. I've been a stay-at-home mum for the entirety of our marriage, so it's been my husband being kind enough to pay for a child that's not his. When my daughter turned 18, I talked to her and basically wish her and my ex-husband luck in whatever they choose to do in the future. I get a call from my ex-husband saying that my daughter wanted to start college in fall of 2021. The college they picked was the best in the state for students with disabilities, but that my ex-husband couldn't foot the tuition alone. He said that our daughter couldn't do any of the student jobs available and said if I wanted to do right by my first kid, I should help foot the bill. I was talking to my ex on speakerphone and my current husband interjected and said that was all his money and he has done everything to help me meet my legal obligation, but that's done now. I told my husband that our daughter is now a legal adult and I had to cover her expenses when she needed a lot of medical attention at ages 6 and 7, and that we were only a bit older than her when we were already parents. I told him that I had already done right by our child and that college isn't a necessity. I wished him the best of luck into looking into possible other scholarships and grants and said I had 2 other kids that needed me. Am I the arsehole for fulfilling all my legal obligations until my ex that is 18-year-old is an adult now? There's many questions going through my head in this one that OP doesn't seem to, that I can't find in the comments and I can't seem to find in this post either. But yes, you're definitely the arsehole. You just literally said, nope, I'm not dealing with my child anymore. I got a new family. It's one of these stories where they just move on and get a new family and like, fuck the old life. I'm moving on now. So screw you. Yes, you are the arsehole in this situation. But Trillium Summer says, wow, you just washed your hands of your child, didn't you? And then says, edit, realised mine was the top comment, so I guess I should slip in a, you're the arsehole in here. And Striking Firefly says, not the arsehole to your ex-husband, but very much you're the arsehole in regards to how you treated your child. Guess you moved on to your real children and real family and just left her in the dust, huh? No, you didn't do right by your child because you sent her money until she was 18. Doing the math, you gave up custody right around when she became a quadriplegic. Doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. You've been a terrible parent. And Mongoose on the Loose 42 says, so if I'm reading this timeline right, you walked out on your kid right around when she became a quadriplegic. That is undeniably terrible. You're the arsehole for that. As it relates to supporting her after 18, you're right, you covered your legal obligations. And Step Back Girl says info, wait a minute, hold up. You've been divorced for 13 years, your oldest is 12, 9 months pregnancy, so it sounds like you cheated on your first husband while your daughter was a quadriplegic. Wow. And Nearby Sentence says, of course you're the arsehole, get off your butt, get a job and help your daughter. And Dude74 says, wow, so much more information is needed here. Why did you give up custody? Was it because she was a quadriplegic? How did she become a quadriplegic? Why did you get divorced? I tend to think you're an arsehole for abandoning your child, but I feel you didn't tell the whole story here. Probably because it would make you look much worse. And Anon says, wait, OP is a stay-at-home parent and that's okay, but then she judges her ex for not working. I'm like 1000% positive full-time caregiving for a quadriplegic is considered a job. You're the arsehole for that and so many other reasons. Now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Or do you think that we're missing so much information? Can you still judge it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Twin. Am I the arsehole for yelling at our sitter? My wife and I are at odds over this, and though I believe I am in the right, I'm open to others' opinion. Our kids are 2.5 and quite a handful. They have speech delay, don't really listen, and aren't potty trained. I tend to just give in to avoid their crying and tantrums. My wife believes discipline will help, but it just leads to more tears and no progress. Recently, we started going back into work and hired a college student to watch the kids. She's very caring and obviously loves working with the kids, and my wife considers her a good friend we can trust with the children, but I haven't seen improvement. We've told her how we want the kids potty trained and talking soon, and while she definitely takes good care of the kids, there's no improvement. The other day I came home to the twins crying, and the sitter told me that one of them had ripped their clothes off and gone to the bathroom on the floor during that time, and I lost my temper and told her that wouldn't have happened if she had worked with the kids the way she should have. I told her that I expected the kids to have been progressing more by now. She left soon after and must have texted my wife that night, apologising because my wife is pissed. She said it isn't a college student's problem to raise our kids, she's here to watch them and to add on to what we build as parents. While I understand they are our kids, I don't think my wife is right. I think if you're in charge of the kids, you should be teaching them manners and speech and potty training them. Am I the arsehole? Yes. Course you're the arsehole in this situation, you doof. Your wife is 100% right. It's not down to a babysitter to be teaching your children basics. And the first paragraph in this was frustrating in itself, where he says, I tend to just give in to avoid their crying and tantrums. My wife believes discipline would help, but it just leads to more tears and no progress. Because you're not supporting her, you're not helping her. You just think that, giving in and doing nothing is the best way forward. Wow. Yes, you're the arsehole, massively. And I was almost laughing that you think it's suitable for a college student to come in, look after your children and provide speech therapy to them. Wow. But Love Giving Advice says you're the arsehole and this must be a joke. Potty training is your job and they might not be ready. Speech delays, get them some professional help. If you seriously want to outsource those duties, you need to pay someone with loads of experience and not a college kid. You sound like a nightmare and I sure hope college kid quits on you like yesterday. And Fantastic Focus says, you're the arsehole, it is your job as parents to potty train your kids and to teach them how to talk and manners. And quotes, I tend to just give in to avoid their crying and tantrums. And then says, you are not doing your job and expect your babysitter to pick up the slack. And R Pepperpot Reddit says, I completely and on a regular basis sabotage my wife's efforts to discipline/teach our children by giving in whenever they have a tantrum. Also, I screamed at a college student because she didn't live up to my unreasonable expectations of being a super nanny/speech therapist/surrogate parent. Am I the arsehole? Yes, you are. You're the arsehole. And It's Good to Chalk says, you're the arsehole, she's the sitter, not an au pair or nanny or child behavioural expert you hired. Raising the children and improving their development is not her job, that's yours as a parent. You pay her to look after the children when you or your wife are not available, not to stimulate their development. And Lego Pasta 2 says, you're the arsehole, you're about to get obliterated in these comments. It's 100% your job to raise your own children and not hire a college student and expect to behave like a third parent. You know what never works when training children? When both parents believe things should be done in completely separate ways. And Alert Potato says, you're the arsehole, the whole way through this I just kept thinking the same thing your wife said. It isn't a babysitter's responsibility to raise your kids for you. Potty train your own kids, if they're ready. They may not be, and get your kids into proper speech therapy. A random college student is not qualified to provide speech therapy services to your children. Be a goddamn parent instead of expecting the babysitter to do it for you. Edit, because I feel this needs to be added. The reason you don't see any progress with the kids' behaviour when your wife disciplines them is for two reasons. First, it takes time. Children aren't vending machines. If it isn't money, candy out. It isn't discipline in, behaviour out. The single most important thing is consistency, and you are consistently undoing your wife's progress by just giving in every time the kids have a tantrum. You're actively participating in something that will create entitled monsters instead of well-behaved children. Knock that shit off. Your wife clearly knows what she's doing, and you very clearly have no fucking clue how parenting works. I also suggest parenting classes for you. Now I turn this one to you guys. Another ridiculous one here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And our next story comes from One Lost Slav. Would I be the arsehole if I sued my boyfriend's elderly mother and pressed charges against her? Okay, I know how this sounds, please hear me out at least. I've been with my boyfriend for 11 years, since I was 15. His mother hated me since the first day she met me. She hated me due to my ethnicity, Kosovan Albanian. She hated me due to my career. I work as a model and she decided that makes me an empty-headed, vain, shallow person. Then when I told her I still planned to go to university alongside my career, she said I was doing it to impress my boyfriend. I've since left uni with a distinction, and her new reason to hate me is I try too hard. She has also insisted I've cheated on him throughout our entire relationship, which is a ridiculous claim. I've never even kissed another man in my whole life. I have zero desire to cheat and never will. Late last year, she attempted to void the insurance on my boyfriend's motorbikes. She tried to do this under my name, so hypothetically, when he was arrested for riding with no insurance and called his insurance company, I'd get the blame. After this happened, my boyfriend and I agreed to cut her out. However, it hasn't stuck. She left my boyfriend alone and respected his wishes for no contact, but she's continued to contact and harass me. This leads to the last few weeks. My boyfriend works as a motorcycle test rider and he got into an awful motorbike crash while working. As such, I now need to care for him. I'm okay with that and I'm focusing on seeing it as an opportunity for us to get closer. It's been nice, honestly. However, his mother has been awful to me. She's called me a litany of terms, from things as tame as stupid to things as awful as a nasty Serbian half-breed. I'm not Serbian and she's well aware that calling the Kosovan a Serb is offensive. I tried to block her, so she started making new iMessage accounts and began to continuously harass me via those accounts. Then came Friday night. The police turned up at our door. I was pretty confused and was quickly told they were doing a welfare check as they received multiple claims of horrific abuse I was apparently putting my poor boyfriend under. Obviously they quickly discovered he was fine, albeit grumpy, and they left. I know for a fact it was his mother. Some of the details the police mentioned made that obvious. I'm now at a point where I've realised I literally cannot do this. I'm going to press charges against her for the insurance and harassment. It's a crime in the UK, and I'm likely going to sue her for damages. For the sake of my mental health, I need to do this. I don't want to be a victim, and she needs to be forced to stop. I've mentioned my intentions to her if she doesn't back off, and she's pretty much mocking me and saying I won't. I absolutely will. I just feel like this morally may make me an awful person. She sucks, I know this. However, she's old and miserable enough as is, and I feel like doing this may ruin whatever small amount of life she has left. It feels like it may be too far. I really don't know though, and I genuinely cannot be objective here. Would I be the arsehole here if I did this? Edit. When I say I need to care for my boyfriend, I mean he's essentially immobile. He's not being unsupportive, he's just barely able to take care of himself, let alone battle his mother too. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. You know, you've tried various things and it's not working, and if you think this is the only method that's going to get us to stop, you need to do it, because where does this end? Where does it end? It's only going to escalate from here. It's only going to get worse. The more spiteful and bitter she gets, she's just going to carry on doing it. So absolutely not the arsehole, and you do you. If you need this for your mental health, you need to do it. And Mongrel Goddess says, not the arsehole, this is getting dangerous. Maybe a restraining order. And OP replies, I've considered it. May have to go that route too. And Unfixed Conch says, not the arsehole, his mother is abusive and becoming a danger to you and your boyfriend. You need to cut her out entirely and take some legal action. Figure out your best options and go from there. But this woman is a racist, vile, sickening lady. And Tia Calypso says, not the arsehole, but do discuss it with your boyfriend first. In my country, this would be slander and libel laws would apply. And Black Dahlia says, not the arsehole, his mum sounds horrible and I couldn't imagine having to deal with her. Would it be possible to get a restraining order first and see how that goes? Not sure of the legal stuff, but I think if she violates a restraining order, you might have a better chance of getting somewhere if you do decide to press charges. And Drawing Goblin says, not the arsehole, but it's not quite clear what charges you want to press. It'd be hard to prove she maliciously reported abuse. People have a wide latitude for reporting concerns. Fraud for changing the insurance perhaps. More importantly, what is your boyfriend doing about this? It is his mother. He really should be the one fighting on your behalf. I'd be so pissed at my SO if they didn't defend me in this situation. Honestly, if things are as bad as you say, I would go no contact and ask my partner to do the same. You can't reasonably expect the mother to change. She seems unhinged, but your boyfriend needs to step up. And OP does reply saying, possibly fraud, definitely harassment. I have countless screenshots / screen recording proving she is behind this harassment. I also forgot to mention in my post, a month ago she made an Instagram account of a guy who looked nearly identical to my boyfriend. She literally copied all his Instagram posts to a T. Where there was a dog photo on his page, she had a dog photo on the fake page, etc. She then tried to message me and hit on me, etc. I knew it was her because the Instagram account was linked to her Facebook. As for my boyfriend stepping up, he literally can't. He can't walk right now. I'm not bothering him too much with this, but when I do, he's 100% on my side. He's very supportive. Now I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Crazy one. Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Coloured Notes. Am I the arsehole for writing all my notes in colour? Throw away because my friends follow my main. I, female 16, had 2 traumatic brain injuries before I was 3. Climbed out my crib at 10 months and fell headfirst onto the tile floor. And then when I was 2.5, my aunt fell asleep babysitting me, and my cousin, 3 or 4 at the time, convinced me to sit on a plastic serving tray thing my mum had and slid me down the stairs. Didn't work too well, and I hit the wall and blacked out, and I have a hard time focusing because of that. I always write my notes with coloured gel pens. Each section is a different colour, and most of my teachers really like it because it helps me focus better, and I write a little key at the top when I'm done. So when I study, I can look at what section I need and go to that colour. When I need someone like the principal or the dean to sign something, they always ask what colour I think they should use. My history teacher saw me writing notes with my gel pens earlier this year. I'm doing school in person and asked, "Are you able to read your notes with all those colours?" And I answered that it actually helps keep me engaged and organised, and she left. She started making comments about my notes being in colour every time I took notes in class, usually about how it took so much extra time. It really didn't. I have a pouch with all my coloured pens, and I grab a random one from the pouch when I'm done, and I leave it on my desk. And how it was unprofessional. I didn't turn in my handwritten notes for that class because my handwriting is some weird mix of cursive and print and a little hard to read for some people, so I usually write them in class and then type what I wrote at home and turn it in typed copy, so I don't think it matters if it's professional if I'm not turning it in like that. Today, my teacher got fed up with me writing notes in colour and banned all coloured pens in class. Now half my class is mad because they use blue or purple or some other dark coloured pens, but their notes would all be solid colours, and now they have to get black pens for this class. Pencils also aren't allowed because we're too old to make mistakes. Am I the arsehole for writing my notes in colour, even though it pissed my teacher off? Edit, for anyone saying I should legally get accommodations for my traumatic brain injuries, I go to a private school, so I don't know if they legally have to give me accommodations. Also, my parents already know about this, and my mum is going to the craft store to get me some very colourful, very fine tip markers for that class. As we learned in a previous story, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they do have to give accommodations, even if it is a private school there, they have to do that. And I think this isn't a reasonable accommodation, you know, just using gel pens. No one else seems to have an issue but this one teacher. And like you said, you're not even turning in these notes. They're just notes for your benefit. You're going home, you're typing them up, then turning them in. So there's no reason for this person to not just accept these notes. It's absolutely ridiculous. So definitely not the arsehole. And I would suggest going to the principal in this matter and taking it up with them, because I'm sure they will back you up, because it sounds like they have done in the past. But Unfixed Conch says, not the arsehole, teachers are there to help you learn. There is no logical reasoning for banning coloured ink in class, especially when she knows it helps people like you out. She's just going on a tour de force to show she has power, I guess. And Castle780 says, huge not the arsehole. Your teacher is a nightmare. I'd report them to whatever authorities you can. They have no right to ban you from using coloured pens, and the fact that you go above and beyond to type them out to turn them in makes it even worse. Your teacher sucks and is the arsehole. If anything, they should praise you for being able to overcome your focusing struggles in a creative way. And BFub14435 says, not the arsehole, have your parents go above the teacher to the principal. This falls under reasonable accommodations for disabilities. I struggle with dyslexia, and when I was in high school over 20 years ago, I had coloured markers for each class and a set of notes, because the colour helped me visualise the words. I carried around a 64 pack. In fact, the only time I got in trouble was when I signed a teacher's yearbook with irregular pens instead of my markers. I also had an elaborate system within each subject. Most of my teachers requested my notes at the end of my semesters. A teacher's job is to help a student be successful, not hamper their success. And Obtuse says, what the heck, not the arsehole, do you live in the US? If you do, then I feel like your teacher is 140 years old, or they're just crazy. The idea that it's unprofessional to be handed in typed copies instead of handwritten material is absurd. Moreover, I'm not sure why they hung up on you having a special way to organise your notes. Your other teachers like how you take notes because it's actually a pretty regular note-taking strategy, and it's an effective way of organising things for some people. I think this teacher has some kind of screw loose, to be honest. And Solet says, not the arsehole, do you have an IEP? If so, please talk to whoever's in charge of that. If coloured notes is not part of your IEP, it can be added. If it is part of your IEP already, then this teacher is violating it and should be informed of this or possibly formally reprimanded. Now I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation if you was in OP's position? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, as it all massively helps out our channel. And you know, I really appreciate you just taking the time out of your day to be here. I know I say it all the time, but it really does mean the world to me. And it's just, I still find it absolutely crazy that there is people listening to me read stories. I know these are other people's stories, so it's not like my stories or anything, but people still hearing my voice all over the world. I find it absolutely insane. Anyway, before I go off on one, if you want to support the channel further, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or heading on over to the link in the description below for Patreon and joining up there. It is all really appreciated, very, very much helpful to this channel. And yes, I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys. Take care now. Goodbye.